Yeah.
My camera won't work. This is a new problem that I just found out.
As I was saying, we have decided to push the RFP publication and response date out 1 week because otherwise the publication date would have been Thanksgiving Day, and the fear was that it would simply be missed by anybody that was looking to respond to an RFP. So that will be published a week from this Thursday.
Correct.
And the response, which is December 2nd, and the response would be due presumably December 22nd.
Yep.
Unless a request is made for an extension. So I just wanted to make sure that we were all understanding that that was what the situation was. The next item on my agenda was an update on the intern situation. And Pat, what can you tell us?
I reached out to HR. They're going to publish it at the Rockefeller, but I'm trying to get an actual professor or dean or somebody on the phone because I want to explain the timeline that it's not just, I guess, spring semester.
Right.
So we're definitely moving forward on that one. It's a pretty good timeline for that too, because they're about to go on break, so they'll have a little more time to figure out what they want to do next year. If at all possible, getting one this year, we can. The only question I would have is the dollar amount per hour.
Yep.
I don't know how you wanted to proceed with that.
Is there a norm?
We have high school and college students, and we paid them. Kayla, do you remember?
It used to be 13. I'm pretty sure Nicole said they brought it up to $15 an hour.
And we would be talking about graduate students, so I assume it would be at least 15, if not $1 or $2 more than that. I don't have any.
Choice is yours.
Yeah, I don't have any recent experience in hiring anyone at that level. I don't know if anybody else does. If not, hi, John.
I would like to suggest that we start at 15 and maybe encourage them by saying that it could increase in 90-day increments, a couple of dollars. Is that a possibility, that it will start at 15 and then it could increase? But I'm more concerned with how long is it going to take to get them here, because every Monday we are looking for another bit of information and we don't have the 2 people that we have already agreed to get.
And it's Patricia, I didn't know as well what the minority subcommittee is doing in the way of admin either. So are we looking, let's put the bigger picture into perspective here. I don't know, Pat, how many people you're asking for, but I don't know where the minority committee is. The MMD subcommittee is, but I think we need to keep that in mind.
I can ask for however many as you want, or just, I guess you just say that there's X number of positions, and we could of course update it if they decide to go the same route.
I think we need to wait before we go too far down that road until they complete their organizing.
On that note, they had 2 applicants. I believe one was already known to you, and another one was this afternoon or maybe late morning. Do you want that application? I didn't know. I sent it to the 3 members of the MMD subcommittee.
I don't think we have any need for it personally.
Oh, yeah.
So Pat, again, let's go back to the interns. When will the 2 come for the 9-person commission? Do you think, where we stand as of today?
I'm not positive. I don't know how college students, like, I can have it sent over there this week, but I don't know that. I'll get details on the timeline for their actual hiring.
Okay.
Great.
Tom?
I think we ought to
consider here that we're going to be asking a lot from these people, and they are graduate students, and they're going to have to comply with some pretty tough deadlines that we are facing. And number one, I'd like to see us say that we're going to pay these people $20 an hour. We are talking about people now who are graduate students, and it should be significantly more than what you get as a starting pay at most places now, which is about 15. In terms of the number of hours a week, I don't know as we've discussed that, but I think that would be one of the things that we would have to spell out in trying to attract someone. And personally, I think we should be looking at perhaps 10 hours a week for these people, but we did talk about having 2 of them, and 2 of them would be 20, which might be a little bit much, especially in the times when we're not overly active. But I would like to see this bring a significant enough stipend that when we say to them, and we'd like you to start in early January, not the end of January when the semester begins, or we say to them, we may need your help after the end of the semester in May and before the summer term begins, because I think that May and June and July are going to be very busy for us. We talked about being done by the end of June, but so I'll call it April, May, and June. But I'd like to, number one, see the salary set at a reasonable level that would attract a number of candidates. And number two, I think the number of hours should be sufficient to provide some decent income to these people, because we will be depending on them as our secretarial staff and people keeping the website content up to date and so on. I don't know, although how everybody else on the commission feels about this.
I'm concerned about giving a specific number of hours per week. I think at the moment, 10 hours per week would be far more than sufficient. I think there are probably going to be weeks when it would be far less than sufficient. It's just, I think that we need to, whoever we get needs to be aware that as with the draw on our time, there will be variations.
Got a hand up.
I'm sorry, John?
Yeah, I had my hand up. Yeah, Warren
Oh,
here.
I didn't know.
Between what Tom and Joan said, they are graduate students and do deserve an adequate amount. But Joan's idea of some kind of graduated schedule, I think, is also important, because it sort of ties them into sort of a prize later on, even if it's monthly. Maybe something starting at 17 and maybe, I don't know how feasible it is, but a monthly increment so that there's some incentive for them to stay around. They are graduate students, so some come and some go. They have more important things in their life, like school, family, and other things. So by putting the salary out there where they'll have the opportunity to get more, I think is a good idea, instead of a flat $20 off the top.
My only concern with that, Warren, is that we're on a relatively short time frame, so this is not a long-term incentive in any event.
I think it behooves us to try to find and make it possible for these students to stay with us through September if needed. And so instead of having a flat 10 hours, how can it be up to 10 hours? So that they know that it could be 4, it may be 6, it could be 2, but it's up to 10 hours at $20 to start. But I like the graduated because it helps. It is an incentive for a student that has a lot of other options. But I think we have to get the 2 on board, because every week we're going back to look for additional information and additional information without. So I think it's a starting point. Up to 10 hours at starting at $20 an hour.
But I think that there are going to be weeks where more than 10 hours are going to be required. You still have your hand up, Warren, or?
No, I'll put it down.
Okay.
So it's Patricia. I do think they should be paid at a reasonable scale, and 15 is way too low. But the other thing is, to what Tom said, I do think that we'd attract people if we had a minimum number, you know, we listed as a minimum number of hours, and 10 is probably too high. You know, because if I was a student, I'd want to know, well, what does this mean to me weekly? So I do think we should think about a minimum number of hours, and then can talk about how it could go much higher than that depending on what's going on. And I don't know, I think 10's too high. I think that if I'm open to hearing what people think about that idea as a whole. I'm not sure what number 5 maybe, I don't know.
I guess I got a question. I agree with Tom, you know, and Larry that $20 an hour, that's I think that would be the minimum to attract anybody with any kind of talent. But what are we going to be using these people for? Are they going to be taking notes for us? Because when you're saying up to 10 hours a week, are we going to have them doing research behind the scenes, or are they going to be really compiling notes for us? Because we're not meeting for 10 hours a week. I know once we get the mapping back and we're down into the weeds, then some time could pile up. But right now, from what our initial discussions, what we were going to use them for, you know, to track our agenda, to take notes on our discussions and all this kind of stuff, maybe create an agenda for the next week. That doesn't equal 10 hours a week, because we're only meeting 1 hour a week. So maybe we need to clarify exactly what are we going to use them for. I somewhat agree with Patricia about, you know, it's $20 a week, but you kind of got to give them a minimum, you know, maybe a minimum. But again, because I don't know if, like, I would take a job, I'm gonna sit down for this hour meeting, but it takes me a half hour to set up, but a couple hours afterwards, you know, is that really an hour? No, it's probably 3 hours. So maybe there's a minimum there, but maybe we need to read, maybe I'm confused. What are we going to be using them for? You know, I can't imagine 10 hours of work for somebody that's compiling our notes.
Tricia?
Yeah, so I know that after these meetings, if I do what I think should be done, it's at least a solid another hour. But I think the bigger thing is that you start to talk about the website and what the website's going to need. You start to talk about public hearings and coordinating on public hearings. If we receive input from the public, whether it come in whichever way, we're going to need help compiling a lot of that. So I think because we're in the beginning stages, we're not seeing that real need yet in a large. And that's why I would say, you know, 2 hours to start, maybe a minimum, but it's going to scale up pretty quick, I think.
Okay, then I have one other question then. Should we be if you're thinking of having them work on the web design and running the web and all that kind of stuff, that's a different type of person than somebody just that we're planning on, you know, collapsing notes for us and gathering information. That's a whole different type of person that's gonna work on the website. That's skill set I don't have. And
No. So Mark, let me clarify. Yep, let me clarify that. That's I probably am jumping through what the next conversation on the agenda is going to be. So that person, just like I'm trying to, works with the IT for Albany County and gives them, you know, puts drafts in front of us, like I did with you guys, as to what we think. And then the technology people then implement it. They test it out, they check it, they make sure it's everything we want. They go back, they say, no, you missed this, you missed that, whatever. But it's not like they're doing web design. And honestly, any grad student at this point is technology savvy enough to know what is a good user interface, what works on a website. So it's not that they need to be tech savvy. It's more that they need to understand and provide what the content should say and, you know, gather the content to put up there, that kind of thing.
Okay, now here's another question then. Are you gonna have them, again, this goes to the quality of person we're gonna have. Are you gonna give them like a task and they can just automatically upload stuff, or is that gonna come back through us for approval to
Everything
go
goes
up?
through us. Sorry.
See, that's what it's like, it's gonna come through us anyways. It's gotta come through us. We can't, just.
I
say-
agree. I totally agree, but they would do the prep. I think Joan's got her hand up.
Yes, yes. Joan?
Joan, if
Joan,
you
did you?
hand up, you're on mute.
I thought that we had agreed that the two people that would be hired would be interchangeable. For example, that what Patricia is doing now, she would show that one of those people how to do that, what Larry is doing. And we had agreed that it will grow into more than just taking notes of this meeting. We talked about all of those things that Patricia just explained. It didn't need to have someone who had a degree in this, but someone who could do what we call administrative support. So it wouldn't be Caitlin and Pat doing their part, but it would be these two people would have enough to do between the two of them, which would include the public hearings and the website and other notes and all of those things. So I thought we had already agreed to this. And that's why Pat was looking at this, but what I'm trying to find out, can we come up, I agree with the $20. Can we say minimum 5 hours up to 20 hours? What would?
I think that makes sense to me, Joan. I think a minimum under 5 hours becomes difficult for somebody to accept.
I think 20 is kind of a lot for most grad students to agree to. But I think if we said to them a minimum of 5, there will be weeks when it could be 10 or even 15 when a lot's going on. And you might even say there could be a maximum of 20, but my gut feeling is it would be a minimum of 5 and probably more likely 10, but could be as much as 15 in a week, because we do want to describe the job well enough for people that they understand what we're expecting from them in return for a commitment to be here through the summer.
And certainly those higher commitments would be when we are deep into mapping and trying to bring this towards a close.
Which could well be right around May when they're taking final exams and everything else. So we want to have an incentive for people to be staying with us.
Mm-hmm.
So Pat, can we get the two? Now that we have these details, do we agree with the $20 from 5 to 15?
I believe it. Seems to be consensus.
I'll move forward with it.
Great.
I think you should definitely advertise the minimum 5. Like you said, it's going to get somebody, okay, I can do $100 a week. I can work on this, but for $20 a week, I'm not even going to waste my time.
Right.
I wouldn't want to go, 15 or 20, up to 15 or 20, because that may be too much of a workload for them. That might scare some people off. Say, wait a minute, once I get into class, I don't have 20 hours. They're always going to think the maximum, so if we say minimum 5, and then we'll work with these people. It's not like we're just going to keep dumping stuff on them. We could, if it's a good individual and they're solid, we'll work with them. If it takes us a couple extra hours to work, I get it. They got school, they got all that kind of stuff. But if you go upwards of 20, you may scare off some talented people, because I just don't have 20 hours or 15 hours. But minimum 5, that just says, okay, $100 a week, I can do that. I'll work for that.
I would ask Pat to just run that by whoever he's going to be talking with at the college, just to see, because they've got the experience. They know what these graduate assistants are typically worked in a week. Some may not mind 20 hours because they need the income, but I think if we were to say that the average would probably be around 10, and it would be an 8-month appointment from January or a 7-month appointment from January to June, or it started December. I know we're kind of vague about exactly when, but I think that's of necessity because we want to work around their schedule too.
Okay. All right. The next item on our agenda was the council RFP evaluation tool. And Warren had done a lot of work on it. And I thought you pulled it together quite well, Warren. And I liked the
Sorry, Larry.
what the scores mean. I'm sorry, Patricia.
I am so sorry because I'm not sure I just heard what we agreed on. 5 hours a week.
Minimum of 5,
And is it $20? Yes.
$20 an hour.
Okay, got it. Just want to
And
make
we
sure I got it.
And we expect the maximum to be around 10.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Larry, do you want an actual vote on that? I think we pretty much can, it's apparent we have consensus, but if you want a motion and a vote,
Sure.
that's up to you.
You want to make the motion, Tom?
I will make that motion, yes.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
I'll second.
Warren? Okay. And all in favor, say aye.
Can we do discussion first? Because I just want to clarify one thing.
sure.
Tom had mentioned, we said 10 max, but possibly 15 at some point. So I just want to be clear on that language.
And what I had fuzzied it to was a maximum of approximately 10.
And I'm
Okay,
fine with that.
Okay, great. All right.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. As I said, I think that the work that Warren had done on the evaluation matrix was really helpful. And I particularly liked the descriptions at the end of the document of what the ratings meant. I think that will be helpful to the raters. We do need to get this finalized because we do have hopefully some responses coming in soon. Were there any other comments on the evaluation tool?
I've got no comments, but are we going to run this through procurement? Since they're supposedly our sort of partners in this whole endeavor?
I can do that. I'm not sure. I'm trying to find it. Oh, I have it. Sorry, my apologies.
And I only say that because they're the subject matter experts. I mean, I've got experience in this, but
Yep.
they're the purchasing group right now, right? So they know what they're doing.
They are our eyes and ears, right? Yes, Tom.
Patrick, do we have an idea of what the going rate is for council services for this kind of thing? I mean, whoever is the lead counsel, I'm assuming it's a firm we're looking at, but there would be someone identified as lead. Are they typically getting, 200 an hour or 250, or is it more like 175?
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I have no feel for what this is in today's market.
Everyone who I was able to get on the phone didn't have an answer, and the people who will have the answer, I haven't been able to get them on the phone yet. So I'm trying to get that. I was just genuinely curious. I was looking for that answer, but I'll definitely try and get a valid answer.
That's going to be important because I know part of the scoring is going to be the cost, and the cost is probably going to be expressed in so much per hour. We had an option there for a flat rate as well, but I'm wondering, with so many questions out there about how long this is going to take and what could happen conceivably, I think a flat rate is unlikely, but and might actually give somebody extra points if they did give us a flat rate. But I'm just trying to get a feel for this because this is really the first of our 4 RFPs, and to get an idea of what this type of specialized counsel goes for would be very helpful. So if you get that in the meantime, even if it's before our next meeting, Pat, if you would pass that on, that would be appreciated.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other comments at all on the scoring tool? And if Pat, we would appreciate it if you would run it by purchasing and see if they had any comments.
I will.
Is the Department of Law also involved in that, Pat? I know that was in the language of some of the RFP drafts we saw.
It's mainly if there's things that are patently, I guess, undoable is where they would come in and object. But purchasing is pretty much the one who handles the procurement end.
But the Department of Law is going to do the pre-screening, or is it the procurement, purchasing?
Purchase. Okay, so the pre-screening is mainly for how do I phrase this? Just
Format?
patently deficient responses, like they missed questions or they had questions. But in this scenario, I really don't feel like the Department of Law would find anything that would be so out of the ordinary as to cause it to, I guess, fail.
All right, I just made that comment. I think in partial response to what Tom was maybe questioning why the Department of Law was referenced, and that's why I think they were referenced earlier.
It was purely if there were legal questions on the contractual ability, right? Okay. Then the last item on our agenda was the website contract that Patricia had forwarded around.
So did everyone get a chance to look at it?
I
Was
did
this
anyway.
Was this the guide where we fill in information, or someone said, what was this?
So I sent around 2 documents. One was, yes, to have people fill out their bios. Why don't I, hey, Caitlin, can I share screens?
Let me turn it on 1 second. I'll make it so you can all share. Okay, you should be able to.
Okay, so this was from 2 weeks ago, asking people to fill out their bios. And we are still missing Mark's and Julia's and Sita's. Okay, but that's not the document that I was trying to get up. So hold on a second and let me go back here. And this was the document. So it looks familiar because what I did was outline the whole thing the first go round, what would be the whole thing, made some updates based on what we said. And I see that somebody made a comment here. Hold on. Oh, Patrick's just in there. Sorry, he's in the document as we speak. And then there was what is the proposed content. So my concern is that we need to get something out right away. So right now, if you went to the website, it currently says in what's called the right-hand navigation bar, and let's go there so we all see it. So Albany County Legislature. And when you go there, you see basically over here, whoops. Well, sorry about this, guys. Just have to keep moving you guys around so I could see. Serve on the Albany County Redistricting Commission. So to change that, just so it says Albany County Redistricting Commission. So that was the first one.
Patricia, did you ask IT if you can get your own? Like you just went to the legislature's portion of the website. Did you happen to talk to Jen Cross about getting your own? I guess?
No, I didn't know if that was possible or not, but maybe.
Let me, it would just be, you just had to navigate to it. It may be better if we, can you go back to the county website that you were just at?
Sure.
And you see where it says our county government and departments? That's how, on the top, right there. Yep. See, that's how I navigate the page. I mean,
Would we
hypothetically,
go under, where would we go? Under government, under,
I'm not positive. I'm just trying to say it may be more visible to the public if you are not like,
I get that. That's perfect. I missed that. That's a
so
good,
let me talk to Jen, or you can feel free to.
okay.
Yeah, I think that would fit right under government, just as redistricting commission, no?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
seeing green, or I don't know what order this is. I guess alphabetical.
Okay. I think that's a great thing. I missed that. I was just trying to, and I'm hoping that she can turn some things around quickly. Okay. So right now, I said to keep the current heading, Albany County Redistricting, and then add a new subheading, background information. And I'll make this bigger for, let's see if how I could do that easily so that people's eyes can see better. Is that good, better, guys?
Right.
Thank you. Okay. So this is the text that I had for background. Local Law 8 for 2019, and then put a link to that law right there. Established independent redistricting for the county legislature. It includes an Albany County Commission on Redistricting, IRC, and a majority minority district redistricting subcommittee. The commission and the subcommittee shall make recommendations to the county legislature on how the districts of the county legislature will be drawn, should be drawn. The commission will consist of 9 members and the subcommittee will consist of 7. Members of both the commission and the MMD subcommittee must be Albany County residents and registered voters in New York State. Both the commission and the subcommission will be unpaid positions, but funding may be provided for consultants. And so this should be are unpaid.
And Patricia,
Yeah,
should that just be the commission consists of 9 members? The subcommittee consists, take out the will because it's
yes,
already-
yes. You know what I did? I cut and pasted from what was there already. Good job, guys. This is exactly, I'd rather us do this together. Because then we can get it done. Thank you. Good job.
And the Albany County residents are registered voters instead of, must be, just say are.
Mhm. Okay, good. Both the commission and the subcommittee are unpaid positions, but funding is provided for consultants and staff, including legal and technical experts. For more information on the scope and requirements of the commission please see the Albany County local law. Again, that should be a link, and I'll just make it insert link again.
Patricia, not to interrupt, but
No,
I
good.
would volunteer to try to set up a little, I won't call it a table of contents, but something that kind of breaks the local law into sections so people can find what they want more easily. And I know that some people are thrown off by the brackets at the beginning. That's the old law being deleted. And I think
Yes.
we could literally use crossouts for that to show that that's the law that was deleted. So, but I would volunteer to create like a cleaner version of that or an easier to read version of that for inclusion, if that's okay with the commission.
I think it would be helpful. But I think we just have to distinguish it, Tom, as not the actual law. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, but I think it would be helpful. Do others feel the same?
I think we made it more readable, yes.
Anything to make it easier is fine.
Yep, I agree.
Great.
Okay,
I have
so
my own notes written all over it, so.
Me too.
and so and or I'll say and or, so this will be the link to the actual one, and I'll say and or the more readable, more version at this link. Is that a good way to put it? More user-friendly?
User-friendly.
Yeah, another
Yeah, I
word
like that
Mike
better
could
than
use
readable.
is index version or something like that too, or
User-friendly.
User-friendly is a good phrase.
User-friendly indexed version. How's that? Tom, you good for that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I will just make a note that Tom to provide doc. Okay. Then we have a new heading, and it's the IRC. The Albany County Independent Redistricting Commission, the IRC, was formed.
Which is not the name of it. Independent is not in the name,
Oh, I thought it was, my bad.
not this one.
Yeah, it's that was an area of contention. It's there's one single reference to it in the law.
So Patricia, could it be ACRC
Yeah, sure.
and go back to the prior
The first
paragraph?
paragraph.
To make it
Yep.
the same? Yeah.
I see here then I have Albany County Commission on, well, ACE, yeah, it doesn't go the same, yeah.
Well,
It's
change
not all the
name
same in the
so that they are
statute.
the same. Albany County Redistricting Committee.
It's used both ways in the local law.
Therein lies the confusion.
It-
Yeah.
When it says it's creating it, it calls it the Albany County Commission on Redistricting.
Well,
So
if we
I
just
would leave that
I can do
as is.
this. I can take this away,
Yeah,
right?
you
Put
don't
down
refer to it
below.
again.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, you don't
Information.
refer to it again in that section.
Good, okay.
I do think, Patricia, that it helped to have a short version, and ACRC would work.
Yeah, here. So then let's do it here then.
Right.
Okay, good.
ACRC.
So the Albany County Redistricting Commission was formed and began meeting regularly in October. Beginning task of issuing RFPs for legal counseling and mapping services, along with planning all the processes leading to the delivery of the proposed map to the legislature by the end of summer 2021. Are
22.
2022.
2022. yeah.
22. Ho-ho.
One other point too, just a quickie, it's almost semantics, but we're delivering maps, but we're delivering an actual law as well. So I'm not quite sure how
Yes.
that,
Proposed maps and the accompanying law. How's that?
Perfect.
sounds good.
Initial public hearings will occur to take public input before maps are drawn, followed by public hearings for feedback on draft maps. All right,
Pat, Patricia, I know we talked about one hearing. You used it plural there. I'm fine with that. But if we only have one hearing, are we committing ourselves to more than one by this language?
good point. I
So
think,
why don't you just put the S in parens and then that'll hopefully solve that.
Okay,
perfect. Thank you, Warren. Okay,
And 9 members of the ACRC.
thank you. So you really thought that one out there, Joan, in advance, huh?
I did.
I like you. All right, and here I have no idea if the web mistress wants to, what's the fastest way to get this up? Because we need to get it up. So either have this and each one be a link to that document that I showed you. So each one, she'll separate them out. Or whether she's gonna do a separate commissioners subpage. Okay, so,
Everyone works.
right, but we are missing those 3 that I pointed out.
Patricia, you know the way the navigation seems to work on these sites? Like you'll click the individual and it'll go right to say Mark's information, but below and above is the other people. It sort of
Right.
takes you there, but it's still one
Right.
document.
It takes you to the spot on it. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I didn't know how she's gonna do this. Yeah, so that's an implementation question that I'm neutral on. But I agree with you, Warren. It should have a page and it takes you right there to Mark or whoever, and then you see up and down the others. Then I was gonna say there's a new heading called MMD Subcommittee. And I think that's what we're calling it. The MMD subcommittee is in the process of being fully established and going through similar initial tasks. And then we agreed several weeks ago, we would keep the apply. And there is current language there for applicants to apply. I could show it to you if you really want. It's over here.
And so would have a link to that.
Yes.
I think they would just, instead of a link to this, I think it's just going to carry over and it comes down from the legislative page and gets added to ours. So
Okay,
it starts here, those interested in serving, and then you do this. So this piece from here down to here.
okay.
Patricia, that last line or second to last line on the MMD, I'm just thinking we should maybe put a time frame, just say something like as of November, because that information is going to become dated really soon. And
Yeah, I was wondering that myself.
yeah, just some kind of anchor to give us some time reference frame.
And then but this is where I did want to talk to you guys about the frequency with which we update this and the other things that need to come. Because if we go back up to the top, now here's what was interesting to me, is that when we first discussed my first draft, we had the home landing page, then we had an about, and it gave that background. And I put everything on the same page for now. It had the commissioners, it had a contact. And I believe, right, did we get a email established for the RFPs that we can use for this, or no?
No, the RFPs, they go back to the purchasing.
Purchasing, but I thought purchasing was going to send them to us. So we need to establish an email address, an external email address that goes back to us.
Right, but not individually.
So.
Which I might point out, it'd be something that obviously our interns could be tasked with monitoring and being able to forward them where they need to go.
Yep, okay, so hold on, let me just do this in red. Need email address.
ACRC at.
There she goes, I really like her. Albany County, whatever it is.
And why?
NY?
NY.gov.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
So while we're on that, just really quick, do we want to make it like, I'm a government guy, so ACRC, I mean, redistricting Albany, just something that actually spells it out. It's not necessary, and ACRC would work, but a real word versus an acronym.
I think it's more helpful, I do. People remember it more than ACRC in my mind. I don't know.
Redistricting Commission.
Or just redistricting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Something,
well, hold
something.
on, because we might need a separate one for the MMD.
Yes. And it could be
Well, then it could be
redistricting
redistricting
commission.
commission. Yeah, spelled out, but all one word.
And then that would be redistricting MMD, I guess, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Minority Redistricting Commission.
Majority.
Okay. All right. Now, here's the piece that I wanted to talk to you about. So public hearings, right? So originally I had meetings here. In our last discussion, we changed it to public hearings. But I open item because and we need to decide this. What are we doing about these meetings that get recorded? They are public documents that need to be available somewhere, but do they need to be available on the website? What do we think about putting these recordings somewhere? And should they be accessed by the public?
I would prefer to wait for counsel
Okay.
to assist us in answering that question. I think that there are probably reasons which can be given on both sides of the question. So I just think that we should have full benefit of council advice on that.
Okay,
Clearly, they are public documents, and I'm certain that they would be subject to FOIL and no problem. But it's a separate question as to whether we simply publish them.
right, okay.
And right in that spot, you're gonna probably change the IRC.
Yep, you are correct.
I just wanted to beat Joan to the punch for once.
I should have done a global search and replace is what I really need to do.
Yeah, which you could do later. I mean,
Yes, exactly. I don't want to take up meeting time for that. Okay. Now, and then we had said maps, that once drawn, people should have access to the maps and the underlying data, at least an analysis of it with ability to zoom in and out, should also be able to see current maps, hopefully, you know, be able to look at existing. We'll need to determine, so we talked about, and so I'm just leaving this as open, just bringing it up again. Are there, you know, we need to talk about how the MMD fits in this website, and is there a whole subgroup of the same stuff for MMD, right? And the maps there. So I just left it as an open. So that's just, I wanted to just bring that forward so that we leave it as an open item. Okay?
Yes.
Is there-
I think
Is it-
when they have a full committee, they would determine what needs to be there and how much they will publish online of their meetings.
Okay. The only other thing is that we had talked about way back in the beginning about having these meetings be on the legislative calendar. I don't know if that, I don't think that's, I know that's not happening now. But I wanted to revisit that for a decision about, is that what should be happening?
I just want to note, it's a county calendar. It's not the legislature has a calendar within the county calendar.
Okay,
So I think you would want it, and then we have our own separate calendar. I think what you're referencing is the county calendar, which you could be added to.
okay.
Now, Patricia, are you talking about the hearings or these Monday meetings?
It was these Monday meetings that I was referring to because we said that way back. And again, I think that I don't want Monday meetings, I guess, until council comes in.
Yeah, I was just trying to think that through. I think it's the same thing. We go back to, you know, what Larry said, let's talk to council about that, because are we going to open these, like, are we going to have these Monday meetings open to anybody that wants to come in? Or are we just going to, you know, I know it's a public record down the road, but are they going to be open every day? And if they're not going to be open, then I don't think they should be on the calendar, because we may just get it where we're trying to do work. We may be just answering questions that people are popping in on Mondays that, you know.
Well, just because it's on the calendar doesn't mean that there's website access, Zoom access.
But then people are going to be asking, well, okay, here's a meeting I want to go to. Okay, now how come I can't be on it?
Well,
How
the
come I can't be in
legislation,
that meeting?
sorry, Mark, the legislation and J section 3, it requires that we post our meetings, agendas, minutes, all that stuff. It's in J section 3, which is, the pages aren't numbered, but it's near the end.
I understand, but is that post after we have them or during? I understand, you know, it's all public record and all that kind of stuff, but just, you know, we're gonna have a meeting on Monday. Somebody says, okay, wait a minute, I'm interested. I want to watch your meeting.
Well, it's pre-marked because it also says agendas, so meetings and agenda. So I don't think we would necessarily be posting a backdated agenda. So I can't answer for sure, but it sounds like it. Prospective.
I'll have to read the login. I'm just thinking for a working group, it's whatever. We can wait for council, but it seems like
Well, What was that again, Warren?
J3, I think he said.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat. It's that one little section.
I think I could stop sharing, guys.
It's a very good question, though. I mean, could someone just sign up to watch our Zoom meetings while they're actually happening live? And I don't know the answer.
Well,
You can
know,
technically stream them. That's how everyone can watch our public meetings while they're occurring live, but we can't, for security reasons, we can't let them in the meeting.
That
the
applies to
streaming-
the committee meetings as well as the legislature, the
Yep.
full legislature meetings?
Yep.
Okay.
So unless Patricia, you may have actually spoken at one of our Zoom meetings, but
I have
I
more than once.
don't know, on Zoom though.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just couldn't
times.
remember.
Yeah, me or Carol Waterman, right?
Carol's always there. So we remove them after because again, that security risk continues to exist, and I would never expect anything nefarious from Patricia Sabila or Carol, but we just have to have hard rules.
what, you know, what the full reading of J3 is, the commission and the Mmd Subcommittee will be committed to full transparency, which we are, and accountability, including timely postings of its meetings, agendas, and minutes. So that means if we're gonna have minutes, that means they were posted. We could have this meeting, but it could be posted by Wednesday, you know, and not during the actual meeting. It just seems like, you know, I've been in working meetings where if you have too many people in a working meeting, then the work doesn't get done, and we end up spending a lot of time on other issues rather than the work that needs to be done. But with the way it's written, we would have to have something give it to our interns to have posted by Wednesday, and there they go. They can see everything that was said today.
Yeah, I would not expect the public to be able to provide any input in any way into these working meetings. But just that they exist, know that they exist, and I guess that afterwards they could see the content of them, which is why I was suggesting that we had a tab that was meeting, and it was divided into public meetings and then, or maybe working, I don't know. So we need to wait for council, I think.
Well, I'll just speak up and say that the first thing the council's going to say to you is, how do you guys feel about this? Do you want to have your meetings be viewable live while they happen? Or would you rather that people just got to see a recording after the fact or minutes? So I don't know if the council's going to have a magic answer to that, and it might get thrown right back at us. And maybe we want to think about that for the next meeting, whether or not we would do what apparently, if I'm understanding Patrick right, the legislative committees do, where there is actually live viewing of the actual meeting while it's going on, a recording of it that's available for later, but the public cannot comment or start speaking right in the middle of that. They can strictly view it. That's my understanding, Patrick, is that correct?
That's correct. I just want to note, when we do public hearings or before every monthly meeting of the legislature, we allow for a period of public comment. That is when the public is in the meeting, just as I am right now. We call on them, they speak, but we ultimately end up having to remove them from the meeting. And we always I send them the YouTube link because it's generated at the onset of the meeting when we go live. But it becomes a security risk having them in there. They have the ability to watch it on YouTube. We actually have a phone line as well for anyone who doesn't have a computer, so that the public can listen there if they so desire.
Joan?
I think what this commission needs perhaps is to define for ourselves what it means to be committed to full transparency by our next meeting. Because I agree that there should be some place on this website that we can post our commitment to full transparency. And I think we need to define that for ourselves by the next meeting. What does that actually mean to us?
So a person who's been on the other side of the fence as a watching the county, not only the legislature meetings, but I often attended and watched the committee meetings.
Mhm.
I do, what Pat said, I think it's important that transparency is there, should be there. However, I know that the legislature in their committee meetings does not allow for comment. So
That's not a COVID/Zoom thing. That's
no, it's not. It's
Yeah.
not, because I had that from when they were in person. And I felt, I did have a problem myself with that because I felt that there should be a comment period. I mean, I end up having side conversations afterwards, but I kind of almost felt like it should go on the record. So I am a person who was pushing in the legislation and in general for that full transparency. But I don't think my problem is exactly what Mark said. It's not a public discussion people can jump into. It's a working group and it needs to, have its boundaries with the public. But if they want to give us input, that would be optimal rather than just wait only for when we choose to have a public hearing.
Could we meet that by having a combination of a live stream of our actual meetings and then a way that people could either by email or some other method submit comments to our general mailbox about what went on or about a part of the issue that they particularly have strong feelings about? Would that work?
Well, Tom, I think we could do exactly what the legislature does when they held their monthly meetings. They have public comment period right before. So you have to sign up in advance if you want to have a comment. And if we have none, we just go right to our agenda. If there is somebody who wants to comment, then through the coordination with Zoom, they come onto the Zoom call, they make their comment, and then they have to exit, they get pushed off the call and get pushed onto the live stream. That's how
Warren.
the monthly meetings are. Yeah, sorry, Warren.
No, I just put my hand up. I just think accountability and transparency obviously is important. However, I think if we allow for some of the more complicated letting people in or pre-register with a special link, that just adds a lot of complexity. I don't think we may have the luxury to do. And as long as we're timely with posting the agenda and or minutes and stuff after the fact, I think that would suffice to say we're transparent and timely, in my humble opinion.
And Warren, to echo what you said, I can definitely see that point. And it may only be as we're getting into, I would only maybe want to push for that only as we're really getting into the thick of it. Well, then again, that people can send emails at any point.
Right, and we're planning to have a very robust comment or website, and you know what I mean. Where
Yeah.
the feedback would be there in real terms, I think.
I have a question for Pat.
Pat just dropped off, it looks like.
Or maybe Javon can pass it on. Caitlin or Javon can pass
Yep,
it on.
I'm happy to.
Please. I understand that there is a frequently asked question sheet prepared by the county regarding a definition of MMD. Could you ask Pat to send that to this commission, please?
Joan, could you just repeat that? Pat just actually stepped into my office.
Okay. I understand that there is a frequently asked question document that has been prepared that has questions and answers on the Mmd Subcommittee. And I wanted you to, Pat would please provide that document to this commission.
So we're not sure about that, but we can talk with the minority subcommittee and see. I'm not sure. I can talk to Javon about, oh, Javon's on. We can try to get you a copy of it. I'm not aware of one, but if you are, we'll look.
And yes, the commission, I think would I think it would be nice for everyone on this commission to see it.
Okay, yeah, we'll try to track it down.
Thank you.
And Larry, one thing for, if I could add an agenda item for next week, I think just a background education topic. Because I'd like to see if we could get stats from the county on things, as well as other pieces of things we should be looking at to become familiarized as we go forward.
Can you say that again a little differently? I'm not sure I
Yeah.
understood.
I know. I kind of was a mouthful all sideways. I've been thinking about us needing to be fully educated. So there's things about our county that we all need to learn about, the demographics, all of that. So there's that. And then I think there's all, we all should become familiar with New York State home rule laws that relate to redistricting, as well as, the Voting Rights Act, the section that relates to Section 2, I think it is. So some things that we all need to level set on before we get into the actual digging in.
And at least the latter portions of that was part of what was called for our council to do, was to provide education to us on
Right.
the various statutes.
Yep.
I could see that as a task for our interns too, I think, Patricia, you did share some of the information that's out there on the web about redistricting generally, and the interns could even at an early stage be put to coming up with links that would help people who are coming at this for the first time and visiting our website to find out more about the process in general and all the terms that are involved.
Agree.
Okay, I think we've had a considerable conversation around the issue of transparency, and I think we've explored it. I don't know that we have really resolved anything there, but I think that we all have a greater sensitivity than we did previously. And were there any other comments on where we are on the website at the moment? If not, we have passed our witching hour.
So sorry. So can I go forward with what we just edited to try and get that up, right? We're okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Larry, you're
Patricia.
not looking for a motion on that, right? We're just going to agree and concur and let it go forward, right?
Yes. All right.
I have a question for Caitlin or Patrick, if he's still available. Our next meeting is actually at 4 o'clock on Monday, and right in the middle of that is the bid opening for the council. I'm wondering whether it's going to be possible to find out from somebody in purchasing how many responses we got. I know obviously they won't be able to do their review instantaneously, but how many responses we got and when the evaluators can get their copies, because I'm assuming that's not going to get digitized. We're going to actually have to work from hard copies that have been submitted. I would in fact volunteer to go down there on, assuming Tuesday morning is possible, go down there on Tuesday morning and pick those up and deliver them to Mark and to Warren, just so we all have them, because I think especially if there's a number of them, we need as much time as possible.
I will get you an answer to that.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you, Caitlin. And I guess we can stop recording.
Okay, 1 second.